Got it. Hello, everybody. Oh, wait, do I have myself mute? No, I don't. Welcome, everybody, to Keeping It Real with the Sisters of the Light. I am here with Terry Ann Russell, and I'm Ann Keither.
And
Go ahead, Terry.
we are light workers, healers, and intuitives, and we're brought together by my son in spirit, who guided Ann to me, and that's how we met. And this space is going to be about our weekly conversations, and we might talk about consciousness and spirituality and where you are at the present moment, even if it's all the way down in the low part of the world. We're going to help to bring you up, as we go. So we really want to keep it real, the best way that we know how, and that's by telling you the down and dirty of the ins and outs of spirituality, right? I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. Don't you agree?
No, I totally agree. They don't, I think that's one of the biggest conversations that I think we talk about because we go through such the highs and the lows. I think everybody has that look that, oh, she's a yogi or she's a healer or whatever. And they just walk around and they're just in this beautiful bliss and butterflies are just flying to them and everything. But it's just the opposite. I mean, it's like a love-hate relationship. It really is. There's so many highs and there's so many lows. And would I get off this roller coaster? No. Because the one thing I always said, and I think I said this to you the other night, is that what a lot of people don't realize is that once, people with the COVID, we were inside and a lot of people found themselves. They had time to really stop and think, right? And they didn't have the outside world, feeding them misinformation and the negativity or whatever. So a lot of people they are awakening, but they don't realize that once you step in and say 100%, oh my gosh, yes, I want to tap into this. I want to tap into those little tingles, maybe the voices, those little images they're seeing, that there is no turning back. I made that comment the other night to you. Once you step in and say, okay, yes, I'm ready, and you truly are, and you say that to the divine and your guides and your spirits, there's no going back. Because there's been a couple of times where I've tried to step out saying, okay, I just can't do it. It's overwhelming. You know what I mean? That roller coaster. But then it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You need to come on back.
I'll share a funny story with you.
Please.
When I was guided to Sedona. My husband and I just built a house in Gilbert, brand new house. And so I was in the yard meditating one night and I said, look, I'm not doing this anymore. If you don't tell me where I need to be, what I need to do, I'm done. I'm not playing this game. The next day I'm on Facebook and I see this job for a healer and an intuitive. And I'm like, oh shit. Now I gotta actually do this. Oh my God. Like, how the hell? I was so scared to death then, but I was like, all right, I asked, it came. Now I have to do it, right? So it's like you have to jump into that new energy. People don't realize the power of your expression, right? I was like, look, I'm done. And if you don't show me where I need to go, and everybody, like you said, thinks it's like, okay, bring me what I need to know, and it comes right in. It doesn't work like that. There's frustration, there's anger, there's fear, there's resentment, and all these things and these energies come into it, right? And then it comes to you and you're like, oh shit, no, I changed my mind.
Right? But it's so true. And and then sometimes with that, when you jump all in, and I'm sure we'll get down to this, but I'm just saying, like with me and you, of how we came together, right? Is that I was that one that I knew, now looking back, that I had this gift, this heavenly gift, years, I mean, into my childhood. But back then, people would say, oh, she just has pretend friends. Like I would just play with my Barbie dolls and pretend like the little boy or whatever was talking back to me. No, I didn't see the vision, but I just knew that somebody else was there and then I could just hear, right? So I just assumed that was the way it was for everybody else. Yeah. And then it was the passing of my father and my grandmother and my grandpa, where it really came into play. And then I was going through that like, okay, do I want it? Do I not want it? There was that thing that was pulling me and tugging at me like, yes, yes. And then I pull away. And then going through that roller coaster, how I found you is when I'm like, okay, I can't play around anymore. Like I got to get centered. And then that's when I went, no, I was at a campground in Phoenix. Um, and you just appeared on my YouTube. Like it was just, and you were just talking. I'm like, who is this lady? And then I'm like, you just got that nudge, like, okay, I need to get a hold of her. And then I called and you just happened to have the opening. And then here we are, you know what I mean? And I think I need to tell everybody this story. What was so crazy about you is that unfortunately you did lose your son and Anthony, and he is so closely knitted to you that he is such your spirit guide around you that when I got done seeing you, I was doing a meditation and stuff, and he came to me and he was like, hey, can you give your mom, my mom, this message? And oh, because I was reading your book that you wrote.
Mhm.
I was reading the book that you wrote. What is the exact life after?
From Death to
Oh,
Life,
there you go.
the incredible true story of Anthony Joseph.
Yes.
And
And
I
so
wrote that just 4 months after his passing at his urging for me to write that book.
yes. And so whoever is going through something that you lost a loved one or something like that, I highly recommend that book. I didn't go and I wasn't struggling for closure from my dad or my grandma or anybody like that, because I do have that sense. I know they are around me. Oh my gosh, see, I think he just might be joining us, Terry, because when I start belting, that means but with that, that was the hardest thing for me.
Oh, he was like, finally.
Mhm. Yeah, right? But I'll
You
never
guys
forget that.
finally got on the ball.
Yeah. But I'll never forget reading that book and then him coming to me saying, you need this. And I'm thinking, okay, are you kidding me right now? Like, is this for real? Like, is this person that's passed on coming to me? He wants to give me, he's telling me to tell you a message. Now, how do I get a hold of you and say, hey, your son, somebody that you're missing, right? Is it just, I don't want to be that one. I don't want to be that fake one. That is the one thing that's held me back to be who I truly am, is so afraid that I'm going to give false information.
Right.
And but I think Anthony gave me the test. I think that was the test for me to see, okay, are you going to follow through on this task? And I did. I wrote you that note of what he wanted me to say to you. And when you text me back saying, yeah, Anne, that sounds, I was like, oh my gosh. And then it was like, oh my God, you can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up. So I thank Anthony because I believe he's a big part of how we came together. You know what I mean? I think I found you, the divine and my guides brought me to you. And then I think that book that you wrote was validation. And I think it needed me to take that book to get his energy and for us to be where we are today. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
crazy, wild ride. I've always said that. Like, I don't know what people think, and it's probably from the movies. People just sit there, like you said, it's all butterflies, and I'm just going to sit here in meditation, and everything's going to flow, and my life is perfect. And it's not like that at
Mm-mm.
all. It's down and dirty, right? We've been in the darkest and darkest moments. When he left,
Mm.
that nearly took me as well, right? That was
Right.
part of
Right.
my journey for me to get to where I am. And now this big quantum leap has occurred. And it's hard to believe. I mean, it's 2.5 years since he's passed.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have told me 2.5 years ago that I could sit here and talk about him and not break out hysterically, I would have never believed you, because I was like, there's no way that I can even function at that
Right.
time. And now it's like such a second nature. Like, I've learned so much. And even being in the business,
Mm-hmm.
I've explained to people it's so different, because everybody thinks you're in the business, that it's easier for you somehow, that you lost a child and you can connect with them. And I was like, oh, that's such a misnomer, because I think sometimes it's even worse, because
Oh.
you're feeling this and you're not. For me, it was like, All of my psychic senses were on high alert.
Mm-hmm.
If I was believing that he was dead, I'm hearing him, I'm smelling him, I'm seeing him. If I was doing all this stuff, then I had to believe that he was dead. And in the beginning, I couldn't believe that he was dead. So it was really like a tug of war within
Oh,
myself to really
right.
so that like what brought me through this new golden age. But we're really awakening to this new energy, right?
Absolutely.
People,
Absolutely.
I've always said out of all of my clients, I'd have to say 90% of them are able to intuit information from somebody that's passed in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's very common, but we push it away and we're like, oh no, it must have been a cool breeze. Somebody opened a window, or
Mm-hmm.
no, it couldn't have been the smell of my grandmother's perfume. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
like,
Oh, I totally knew.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. It's just like, when you get I just, you know what? I'm going back to what you said. And I never looked at it that way as a grieving person. Because, I just made the comment that with my dad and my grandma and my grandpa, right? It's almost comforting because but to me, I know I have them around me more now than I ever did, right?
mm-hmm,
But as a mother that went through that, you're trying to accept that your son is no longer there. You don't have that tangible of giving him a hug. But so did what's the word I'm looking for to different? Oh, I can't even pronounce it.
differentiate.
Yeah, the difference of being here and gone because you are feeling him in spirit. Oh my gosh, that is just
So
wow.
it's
See,
mind
that's
blowing. It
that
really,
is mind blowing. That see, I never put those two together, right? So
it
that's
does
what's
a
so
number
fascinating
on
about
what
this.
your psyche is thinking, because it's like, but how can he be dead? Because he's right here and he's
Absolutely.
making all this sense to me and he's telling me these things to do. And he's like, and he's right. And he would give me little bits and pieces and I would go look on the internet and there it would be. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Like this is way beyond any capacity that I could ever understand. Right. But
Yeah.
what he taught me is you've got to get into it. You've got to do your work. Ma,
Mm.
if you want to get to this space where you need to be, you've got to do it. Nobody can do it for you. I mean, you and I say it all the time. It's like people, I think, sometimes are looking, sorry to say, people are looking for someone to save them. I want you to
Absolutely.
heal me or I want you to save me. And that's not what we're about. So I'm just going to tell you now, if you're watching this because you think we're going to heal you or save you, you better
Yep.
just turn it off and go somewhere else.
Yep. And you know what? And that's what I tell people when people come to me. One, I say, when they're like, well, Anne, I just feel like I'm practicing, I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing whatever. One, then you need to, if you're not seeing change, then you're going to have to go deeper in yourself. You're not doing something right. Something's missing. You're missing a step, right? And then two is consistency. You have to stay with it daily. It is like showing up. Like if you have a job, a 9 to 5 job, and you have to punch in at 9 o'clock, it is the same way at this too. If you tell spirit that you are going to start your meditation at 7 a.m. in the morning, you have to show up for them too. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly at 7, you know what I mean? But you do have to show up. If you want to see change in yourself, you have to show up. And I guess I have a three. Like another thing that I tell people is when they say, I just need some healing or whatever, like if we do our Reiki or whatever, I'm like, let's get this straight. They call it healing, right? I can just give you that good energy and they'll feel it. And they will feel a sense of relief because we're moving the energy within them, but I cannot heal you. That you have to heal yourself. That's between you and the divine. If you really want to heal yourself, that is something you have to work on. Not saying anything negative about Reiki. I absolutely love it, but we're just moving those blocks and getting the flow going, right? And there has been some amazing things come out of Reiki, but I'm just saying I can't heal you, right?
Right. So
So
we're making the space for that healing to come through because
thank
we're
you.
going to awaken something in you. How I like to explain is like where there's a block there, right? And we're helping move that block so that
Mhm,
now you're going to be like, oh, I can actually feel something here.
mhm,
There's
mhm.
something here that I don't like the way it feels. And
Yeah.
what is that about? And then it starts to come up and then they're like, oh no, I don't want to see it. Let me push it back down in my
Mhm.
body.
Yep. Yep. And yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful. I just love it. You know what I mean? I just love the whole thing about all of this. And that's why I really want, if people are feeling that openness starting, they are getting that awareness that there is a change and they're ready to step into this, then here we are. We are here to help you. And there's so much, even when you think that you are going up, trust me, if you think you have evolved and whatever to here, yeah, no, you're going to go right back down. It is a never ending teaching and cycle. It's just, I don't think, even when I think I learned something and I'm like, oh, I finally just want to get to right here, like my readings, I finally want to hear people with clarity or whatever. Well, then I get there and then more download comes. And then I get to the next thing, like I never thought I would be a medium. Like I just never taught, but now the more I'm doing this and the more I'm reading people's energy, I'll get loved ones that come in, not even loved ones. I've had people come in that are still alive and their messages will come through for that person. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So that's what I'm saying. So when you think I just want to get to be the best psychic. Well, guess what? Well, when you get to be the best psychic, be ready, because you're just going to get another download that's going to take you to a whole nother level. It's just, it's never ending. It's infinity. It is infinity. Yeah.
I remember the first time I read Eckhart Tolle back in 2008.
Oh, I love that book.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, The Power of Now. And I was like,
love it.
Transformed. Mm-hmm. How naive I was, because after that, my world fell apart. It was like, he opened my eyes so deeply. And I was like, wow, like, who am I really? Like, I've been a mother, I've been a wife, I've been all these things, but who was I as a person? Who is Terry Ann, And
because we label ourselves.
We're taught that you were this mother or you were this wife and this is your role. And this is like, I'll introduce, hi, I'm Terry Ann. I'm Eric Anthony Tyler and Sophia's mom. I'm Tim's wife, and that's how back then you would introduce yourself and be those things. And I was like, but that's not just who I am. So, opening my eyes, I was like, wow, like, and I thought I was transformed after that. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Like, and then my life fell apart and I was like, what the hell is happening? Right. So we go through this, but this responsibility is all ours, right? We have to be the ones. You have to be willing to get in there. And what is that stuff that you're carrying? Whether it's this life, past life, people are like, well, how can it be past life? And how can I, bring that? Well, that's all cellular, right? If your soul has lived thousands of years, say, and it comes in incarnation as Terry Ann in this lifetime. Yes, soul is carrying all of that embedded information cellularly into Terry Ann. So Terry Ann is carrying all of those memories around with her that may not be hers per se, but her soul's, and not understanding where that connection comes. It's like the easiest way I could probably explain it is like, say somebody is deathly afraid of swimming, of drowning. They've never, even came close to drowning. They just hate the water. They won't even, my daughter was one of them, won't even put her face in the water when she was little. I couldn't even wash her hair in the tub and she'd scream and yell.
Yeah.
That's past life trauma that her soul has carried on, and her not knowing this, she just thinks she has this innate fear of water, right? But now we're so far advanced and we know so much more, right? So we can go in and the work that I do with past life regression, we can go in and heal that memory for her soul so that she's not living in that fearful state, because we know in that fearful state, we can't create anything, right?
No, and and that's so true, because I found out with me when I did my past life, whatever, and it's so weird that you think about it, because it's just mind blowing, right? That I have such a fear of heights. Like I don't know why. Like you said, nothing has ever happened to me that gave me that fear. I am so scared. And I did 2 past lives. And my second one, that helped me get clear on my first one, there was one session, part of it, that we were like, okay, I really want to dig deeper in what that is. And it was so funny, is I was a witch. And I don't call it a witch. I was just a spell person. I use, like, I don't know why I'm seeing oh my God, see, it's coming to me. I'm making lavender and I'm crushing the stuff. But people took me as being, a witch and a bad person, and I was hung. And as soon as they said that, when she's like, okay, how do you feel? And I'm like, I'm being hung, but I'm just here to help people. That's all I'm doing. I didn't, nothing mean. Why are they hanging me? And I remember that. And I'm like, it hit me. And there was something that just gave me that, wow, I'm freaking, that's it. That just told me why I'm afraid of heights. And so, but it's just mind blowing. Again, mind blowing, right? Just mind blowing.
So we have all this knowledge, and that's what we're looking to bring forward now. I think you and we bring it in a different way, and we play really well off of one another. I think the greatest thing is that we have similar personalities.
Yes.
And we have the same belief system, if you will, being it's your responsibility. I think, because I've done the work, I demand that my clients do the work. It was funny because when my partner Roz in my office, she told me one time she fired a client, and I was like, "You can fire a client?" She's like, "Yeah, she wasn't doing the work," and I'm like, "Wow!" Like I was like, "Yes, that resonated with me," because I was like, "You would fire anybody else, right? The carpenter kid comes to your house and he lays the carpet crooked or whatever and doesn't go to the wall. You're gonna fire his ass, right?
Right.
Me, I'm doing the work. I'm in the light, right? I'm trying to help you. You're not doing the work. Fire your ass." I was like, yeah,
but good for you. I mean, good for you. But that is, I totally get it, because that's another thing. Okay, so for me, I started on the first, that a body, mind, and soul challenge, 30-day challenge, right? And so what, we have 14 girls in that group. And I said, every day you need to show up. And I understand life gets in the way. It totally does. But if you don't show up 3 times, it is bye, Felicia. Because that is one thing. Yeah, that's what people got to realize, that we're not just giving our time of popping on here after we get done with dinner. Let me just get my drink ready. No, it is, we are in here in our space. I don't know about you. I saged my room. I'm getting myself mentally prepped for it. And I'm asking guidance, to surround me and whatever. And so I'm giving my time and my energy to you. And if you said yes, I just want that same respect back. Right. So no hard feelings. Sometimes people jump on because they're like, yeah, whatever. And then they realize this is just not for them. And I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that, because, and tell you the truth, I almost appreciate that better, because they're listening to their inner self saying, this is not for me. Right. So, yeah.
And we were going to start this podcast months ago. And we just didn't get the nudge, right? It was like, it wasn't the right time. It didn't feel right. And it was like, we're not in a good enough spot yet, and we're not there. And I usually get like a nudge, I call it, like, okay, now it's time. And even then, sometimes I need to be pushed. I always say that my guides, I don't do subtlety. If you want me to know something, you need to knock me on the head and tell me, because I'm not like, oh, let me give you 4 today and let's see what you're doing, because that doesn't work for me. But for us, like, we were going to start this months ago, right? And it just wasn't the right time. Now, when we talked last week, it was like, all right, it's it. This is it. We're in it to win it. This is the time to do it. So I think that it's important for people to see that too.
Yep. And it feels organic. It feels so organic. It just feels real. And that's another thing I want to put out to our audience, is when people see this and then we start doing lives or whatever, jump in. I mean, that's what we're here to do. We're here to help other light workers, right? So I had somebody ask me the other day, she's like, well, aren't you afraid of giving out too much information that somebody else is going to use it? And I'm like, yeah, but if it's for the better good, and we need light workers, right? So I don't see the competition. This is my thing. Either people are going to like us, or they're going to hate us. You know what I mean? It's up to them. Hi, Felicia. So, but that's it. But that's all we can do. All I can do is just offer myself. You can just offer yourself, and we are just being true. And that's it. Here we are.
But
Let's
I
get
think
it
that's what people appreciate is your authenticity, right? It's like,
done.
I'm with you. I don't believe in competition. I believe that I was brought into this world as a unique person. I have what I can offer. It's totally different than what you offer. I don't feel any competition with any of the ladies that I work with, like, oh, they're going to get all the clients because they're doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm over here like, no, I don't believe that at all, because I believe that we learn from one another, right? I believe it's
Absolutely.
like a connected web sometimes in the universe. And
Hmm.
here's the piece of the web, right? And we're going out and we're learning and we're bringing in pieces as we learn and grow, right? And
Right.
that is helping us hone into what our particular skill is.
Hmm. Yep. And I think we'll notice that too. And I think people will notice that too the more they keep on following us, because hey, we're brand new to this. We laugh at each other about the technology and how to get this done, and like I said, there are some people that have it down to a pad. They got, the background drops, they got it. And I am, do it, right? If I knew how to do it, do it. But we will be that. And we will be able to look back too and even see how we have grown in all of
I'm
this,
probably
right?
mortified at our first podcast.
I'm not. I love it. I love it.
I'll
It
be
is.
like, oh my God. Like, I was just thinking something popped in my head, like when we were doing the Bye Felicia, like somebody probably has like a little emoji or something that goes across their screen when somebody says Bye Felicia. And we're
Hi,
so
Felicia.
like technological. I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking, how the hell am I supposed to do that?
Yeah. But see, that's what I don't want to do. I mean, maybe one day we will for shits and giggles or whatever. And maybe that's where it will take us. But for right now, I think we're just supposed to be that onion, right? We're just supposed to be just that raw onion. And we're just going to pull back all the skin until we turn into that beautiful lotus and just help everybody we possibly can. I think that's where we are right now. Yep.
And
I
I think
love it.
it's going to be
Mhm.
awesome. I really do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things we talk about all the time. So we've been on about a half hour.
Woo,
So
that went
can you
fast.
believe it? It's 444. I'm looking at it. Just let me know.
I love it.
444. But if you want to join us, we're going to do this weekly. We're going to either try to either tweak it and do it in Zoom and put it up on YouTube and get it out to all our channels, or maybe do a live and put it on all of our channels. We're not sure how it's actually going to work yet, but we'd love for you to join in. There's so much that we want to know. Like, what do you want to talk about? I mean, I'm open to sharing my entire self. I don't hold anything back. My life is an open book. So whatever you want to know, you can ask us.
Mhm.
And next week, we're going to talk about change and how life never stays the same.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
I know there was a
Yep.
point in my life where I said I hated change and I wanted always everything. I wanted my children to stay little and I wanted them to stay under one roof. And then they got bigger and bigger and bigger and they left. So
Mhm.
life never stays the same. And we're going to talk about change next week.
Love
So
it.
maybe we'll try to do that as a live in our Facebook group.
Okay.
And our Facebook group is Keeping It Real Sisters of
Mhm.
the Light. And you can find us right now on Facebook. So if you want to join our group, it's a beautiful sacred container where we're going to be talking about all this stuff as well. And we're going to be helping and we're just going to be bringing in that light because, like Anne said, there's so much awakening happening on our planet. And what is going to bring us to the next level is that level of connection that we have with one another.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, this is perfect. I'm so excited. And I'm excited to
Awesome.
see where people is going to take us and it's going to take the other people too. I absolutely love it. And you know what, I just want to mention real quick that this platform is not only for the beginners, it's also for the seasons, the ones who seasoned, that they know their shit. Sometimes we need to be brought back down and regroup and start all over again. So yeah, and we would love to hear their inputs too if they have anything. So yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
All
Awesome.
right, girl.
Well, thank you for watching and we will see you next week.